I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today, the Arakwal people of the Bundjalung Nation, and pay my respects to the elders past, present, and emerging. Are you ready to win at the game of life? Well, throw out that rulebook and get down to the business of being the best and most authentic version of you. Welcome to the Human Design Podcast. We're changing the rules around success, abundance, purpose, love, and life, where we're creating a planet where everyone can thrive in a world that loves and supports each other. I'm your host, Emma Dunwoody, a qualified master coach, human design expert, podcaster, and entrepreneur that is living the life of my dreams, breaking all the rules while doing it, making a huge impact, and living my design and manifesting miracles on the daily. Join me as I break down and simplify everything you need to live in alignment with your human design, teach you how to recondition your unconscious mind for greatness, and to take back your power so you can manifest your heaven on earth and serve the rest of the planet at the same time. It's time to give up the fear and step into your highest potential, to reach for the stars, to know and live your greatness. It's what you deserve, and it's what the planet really needs from you. So buckle up and enjoy the ride. I was first introduced to the Analemma when listening to Luke Story's podcast, and it absolutely blew my mind. I mean, I understand the importance of water on our health and well-being, but I didn't realize the huge impact drinking coherent water has on our energy, vitality, and longevity. The physical state of water plays such a key role in our biology of life. Did you know that water is the conduit communicating between life, i.e. our bodies, the sun, the earth, and the quantum field? And the more coherent the water, the better the communication. And unfortunately, most of the water that we drink these days has been changed from its natural coherent state through this process of modern water systems and treatments. The Analemma is a tool that enhances the quality of our drinking water by transforming it into coherent, liquid crystalline state, a groundbreaking technology with scientifically proven benefits. I first experienced the Analemma last year after hearing the incredible benefits they had discovered from their 13 plus years of research. These were including things like improved skin, increased energy, balancing the gut microbiome, and research even shows that the Analemma water reduces your biological age after drinking it for just 3 months. I mean, look, I've been drinking it now for nearly 2 years and look at me. But seriously, I take this little device, the Analemma, everywhere I go because it makes water or any liquid I'm drinking coherent, so my body can get the most goodness out of it, and honestly, so it can also detox all the not so great stuff in the water that I'm drinking more easily. So if you want to hear my first-hand line 3 experiences of the Analemma on my body, and you want to hear more of their powerful research, then feel free to tune into episode 231 of this podcast. Otherwise, if you're just ready to go out and grab one, follow the links in the show notes and make sure you use my unique code when at the checkout. Enjoy. Hey, and welcome to today's episode. Well, I have a returning guest to the podcast who I am super excited to talk to because honestly, she's one of those humans that really walks the talk, has created an incredible lifestyle. And you know what? She's a fellow 3-5 like me, and she loves to share the hard bits as well as the great bits. So, Melissa Ambrosini, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me back, my fellow 3-5.
Yeah, I love it. For the listeners, just to let you know the rest of Melissa's human design, she obviously is a 3-5, sacral generator cross of the Maya. So for those geeks out there that I know you just absolutely have to know, one of the things that really amazed me actually about your human design is that you were a generator, not a manifesting generator, because you have so many strings to your bow. You know, you're an author, you're a speaker, you're an entrepreneur, you're a mum, you're all the things. You've been a dancer. There's so many things that you do. I was so surprised that you were a generator and not a manifesting generator.
Yes. Okay. So my husband is a manifesting generator and I'm a generator, and I clearly see the difference between the two of us. So yes, I hear what you're saying. Like I have my fingers in so many different pies, but I see with him, he is the same. He is a musician. He is a crypto investor. He is the co-founder of our company, SheLaunch. Like he's also property managing our amazing house builds at the moment. Like he's literally got like 15 jobs, right?
Yeah.
And I see with him, the difference between him and I is like, you give me a task and I will execute it to the due date and then I'll move on to the next task. And yes, I can do multiple things at once, but I feel like with the manifesting generators like him, he's kind of got so many things, so many tabs open, and it takes him a bit longer to get to the finish line where you give me a task and you give me a deadline and I'll give it to you the day before.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. And it's always that, like generators love a runway, they're on the runway, they're on that path. And whereas, yes, us MGs, we kind of jump from one to the other. It can be a bit hectic, but it is method in our madness.
Yes.
Um, so I would love you to share with the audience, with the listeners, a little bit about your story. I often ask our guests to tell us about that dark night of the soul, because I believe that often this dark night of the soul, and as a 3-5, you may have had a couple of them.
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah. It's that invitation into our purpose. That's the way I kind of see it. It's that moment in time that we're like, okay, I have a choice here. I have a choice to continue to be a victim, or I have a choice to find a way or find a new path. And that is the path that actually takes us on this becoming our purpose. And I think our purpose is an ongoing journey, and we're kind of almost perfecting it along the way, never to be perfect. But I would love to hear your journey from there to here, to the human that you've become today.
Yeah, so like you said, I have had many of those dark nights of the soul, but the biggest one that kind of propelled me onto the path that I'm on now happened in October 2010, which is when I was, before that, I was a professional dancer. Like you said, I danced at the Moulin Rouge in Paris. I did acting, TV presenting, and a little bit of modeling. And I ended up in hospital in October 2010, completely burnt out. I had so many health issues. So from chronic fatigue, thyroid problems, hormonal issues, adrenal fatigue. I had so many health issues, physical health issues, but then also I was dealing with mental health issues from anxiety, depression, and panic attacks. And that was my rock bottom. That got me onto the path that I'm now on, my true path, the path that I was always meant to be on. And I truly believe that the performing was dress rehearsal for what I'm really meant to do in this world. And it was so much fun. And it gave me the confidence to get up on stage and to speak and to be able to hold myself and present myself. So I'm so grateful for that amazing dress rehearsal. But this is what I'm meant to do in this world. And I was a great performer. I was really good. I wasn't the best though. Like I wasn't the lead in the shows. I was always, the supporting. I was never like the number one. And so I feel like, yeah, it was definitely a dress rehearsal. And when I was in hospital, I was there for a week, and it was, like I said, the darkest time in my life. The boy I was seeing dumped me. The friends that I had moved back from London to, come back to Australia, and my only friends back in Australia, they dumped me. I had no job. I had nowhere to live. I was sleeping on my friend's sister's couch, or her fold out little single hospital bed in her lounge room. And so it was like the darkest of dark times in my life. But even though it was so dark, and I had my mom and my dad there, even though it was so dark, there was hope inside me.
Yeah.
And and there was this voice, which I now know is my intuition, that was like, if you get your life sorted, if you get your health and if you get healthy and happy again, you will live a life beyond your wildest dreams. And so I made it my mission to get healthy and happy again from that moment, and literally changed my entire life, literally flipped everything on its head and began on this journey. I went and studied holistic nutrition because I wanted to understand how to nourish the body. So that was the first step. I borrowed the money. I think it was a $2,000 course. I borrowed the money from my parents, and so grateful to them for supporting me in that way. And I went and studied holistic nutrition and became a certified holistic health coach. And then I realized very quickly as I started working with clients one-on-one that it wasn't just about what they put in their mouth, that the mindset was so important. And so I went on and studied life coaching and business coaching, and I became a meditation teacher and a yoga teacher and an energy healer, and just dove headfirst into this spiritual entrepreneurial world and became obsessed. I went and read every book that I could on personal development and self-help and spirituality and entrepreneurship, and went to every seminar and just became totally in love with this world, and began sharing everything that I was learning on this thing called a blog. So this was 2011, and back then, not many people had blogs, and I blogged 5 days a week and shared everything that I was learning on this path of awakening, and was seeing clients one-on-one, started running my own events, got booked. My first speaking gig was from Lululemon Australia as a motivational speaker. And I was like, what? I was like, you get paid to do this? I was like, what do you mean? This is so cool. I thought that was amazing. Got my first book deal with one of the biggest publishing houses in the world, HarperCollins. And that was for Mastering Your Mean Girl. And I started my podcast. And then I created SheLaunch, which is my amazing program right now that I've got that helps female coaches, consultants, and service providers like yourself scale to 6 and 7 figures in their business without burning out. So we teach all of the strategy and the tools and all of that, but we also teach the mindset, because 80% of success is mindset, 20% is tools and strategies. And I'm just so lit up by what I do. And I've still got my podcast and love doing that. It's called the Melissa Ambrosini Show. And I love that so much. And I've literally, since like 2010, October 2010, I've been on this journey, and I've been obsessed and love it so much. And there's been so many different iterations and transformations along the way. And I've discovered so much and learned so much, and I'm still going.
Yeah, oh my God, I love all of it. And it's fascinating. As you were speaking, I've got your human design just to the left of me, and I'm like, I bet you she's got the 16. And I'm like, boom, there it is. And it's in your personality moon, which you're just really driven by mastery. The 16 wants to learn everything there is, and they're happy to do the things and practice until they become really good at it. And then it really slips into mastery because it becomes that they make it their own. And I'm like, that's what you're talking about. You're driven by mastery. And, like one of the things I talk a lot about in my community is being paid to be you. And I feel like you're really the epitome of that, because the way that you openly and with boundaries share your life, like, because with each facet of your life, I know that you and Nick have done a lot of work together. Your partner, you've talked a lot about getting pregnant and parenting as you two have become parents together. And there's been so many areas of your life that you literally step into and then help everyone else with. How does that feel, like being that vulnerable? Like, where did you get the courage to go, okay, I can see how much this is going to help other people. Tell us a little bit about that, because I feel like there's so many people listening that want to step into a life like you lead, like I lead, yet they're afraid. They're afraid of being judged. They're afraid of what other people will think. They've all of these fears going around in their head. So I'd really love to hear from you. Like, how did you slip into that place where you have the courage to really share with boundaries so that you can serve?
Yes, I think that's a really important place to start, is the boundaries. Like, I know what my boundaries are, and what I share and what I don't share. And yes, I do share a lot, but there's also things that I don't share. Like, I do not share my daughter online, and that is a hard boundary for me. And there's times where I still do share, and I have the vulnerability hangover a little bit, and I'm like, oh, did I overshare? Like, but, I really feel like it's in my design and it's in my astrology. Like, I'm a teacher. Like, this is what I was born to do, is to teach and to help people and to go through things, and then like help people go through it after that have been help people go through it after I've been through it. And I have this way of like really distilling down spiritual teachings and experiences in a very digestible way. And I feel like that's definitely one of my gifts and one of my strengths. And I always ask myself this question before I share anything, like, will this help my ideal client? Like, will this serve them? And if the answer is yes, then I share it. And if the answer is no, then I don't share it. So I ask myself that question. And then another thing I also do is, if I'm ever feeling super self-conscious, I remind myself that I'm making it about me. Like if I'm like, what do I look like? And I feel really self-conscious. I'm making it about me. The attention is on me, when everything I do, the attention is on my ideal client. Like, how can I serve them? How can I support them? And so like, I'm like, I don't care what my hair looks like. Like, I don't care if I stumble over a word, because it's not actually about me. It's about providing the most value that I can provide to my ideal client to help them. No one is perfect, and anyone who acts like they are or tells you they are, I would run in the other direction. Like, we're all humans. We've all got our things. Like, I am definitely not a perfect human, and I've never said I was, and I never will say I am. But this is what I teach inside SheLaunch. I have clients that come that, not all of them, but some of them come and they really, really struggle with putting themselves out there online. They have an amazing offer. They have so many gifts that they want to share with their audience, but they are so self-conscious about being visible and putting themselves out there. And when I teach them that it's actually not about them, it's about their ideal client, something shifts in their mind, and they instantly, like, this weight is just dropped off their shoulders, and they start sharing in such an authentic way, and they become a magnet for their ideal clients. So that's a couple of things that I do that really help me.
Yeah, oh, I love that so much. When I was doing a lot of work in corporate, I always, would be working with people who are afraid of public speaking or presenting or whatever it is. And I remember that was the shift that I would have them make. Stop focusing on you and just focus on them, And as soon as we start to shift that focus from self to others, it's so incredibly, incredibly powerful. And I love what you said, that one of your superpowers is all about distilling knowledge down into, you know, um, like easily received information. That wasn't your exact words, but again, I'm just geeking out on your human design, because you actually have the 43 in your core talent, which is the gene keys, and which is also mine. And it's all about simplification so that people can actually receive the information to have the breakthrough. So just nerding out on your human design just a little bit.
Yeah, please do. I love hearing about it. It's so amazing.
Yeah, it's such great stuff. I love it. And going back to something that you said, it's at the end of the day, your human design isn't here to tell you who you are. It's very much about, okay, this is why I'm here to serve, or these are the things that are going on inside of me, but it's not something to keep people trapped into. So, yeah. So I really want to talk about SheLaunch, because a lot of my listeners are entrepreneurs. Many of them are in startup phase. Many of them probably feel pretty stuck and blocked. But before we do, I have to talk about the podcast, because your podcast has been so inspirational to me. I feel like still to this day, I listen to so many men, because I don't necessarily resonate with the way a lot of women maybe interview, or what they talk about, or the questions that they ask. Yet your podcast has been a real standout for me. And I believe for many, many people, it's hugely successful. So tell me a little bit about, your podcast, and how, like, what lights you up about being a podcaster and having these guests and sharing the message with the world?
Well, firstly, thank you so much. I'm so grateful. I love it. Actually, one of my best friends said, are you still enjoying your podcast? Because how long have you been doing it? And I said, babe, I think I've been doing it. I've got mum brain. I'm pregnant at the moment. And I said, I think I've been doing it since February 2017.
Yeah.
And she was like, wow, and you still love it? And I was like, absolutely. And she said, what do you love about it? And I said, I mean, I am getting the opportunity to interview the world's best experts on topics that I'm interested in. Like, I mean, is there anything better? Like, seriously, I just love it so much. So that's definitely one of the reasons why I started it. And what I feel like my audience can also feel that they can feel my excitement, my
Yeah,
genuine interest in the topic. I don't interview anyone that I'm not really interested in. I mean, I get pitched to probably 20 times a day.
I bet.
Well, my team gets pitched to about 20 times a day, and we're at like 600 and I don't know, 30 something episodes. I'm something like that, something along those lines. But I only interview people that I am fascinated about and that I want to learn from. Usually I will read a book and then I'm like, I want that person on the podcast, or I will listen to a podcast and I'm like, oh, I want that person on my show. So yeah, I just love it so much. I get to interview the most amazing people and learn from them. Like, what other better way to learn? Like, and I am, and this is probably my chart, you can tell me, but I am such a student for life. Like, I am hungry for knowledge and wisdom. Like, I want to learn, I always want to grow. I never want to rest on my laurels and get complacent and like never pick up a book. Like, if someone, I'm so open and curious. Like, I'm very coachable. We talk about this in SheLaunch. I'm like, I want my girls to be coachable. I'm a very coachable person. Like, you share something with me and I will be like, tell me more. But then there's people that are like so set in their ways and they're so not coachable, and it's like hard to kind of break through. But I just want to learn. Like, if you've got a new way of doing something that could benefit me, like, tell me more. Tell me more. So yeah, I definitely love the podcast, and I'm so lit up by the people that I get on the show.
Yeah, oh my God, I love that. And so resonate with what you're saying. I think, just that opportunity to talk to people. I know when I interviewed Bruce Lipton, for me, that was such a massive thing because his book and his work has been so huge. So even this is epic because, I've been listening to your podcast for years. And you're one of the ones that I have these memories. It's the same with Luke's story of many years ago, walking my dogs, listening to your podcast, having an aha moment, and to be able to have the opportunity to then sit down with these people and speak to you. It's just, yeah, it's epic. Like, I really, really get what you're saying. Um, and that thirst for knowledge, just from a human design perspective, I really do think it's a lot of that 16 for you. It's this just desire to master, to learn, to grow. The other cool thing, if we think about it from the Gene Keys perspective, because I use the Gene Keys a lot, is you actually have the line 5 in your design earth, which is called your purpose in the Gene Keys, which the line 5 is all about the voice. So you actually, when you use your voice, you're going to feel fulfilled on the inside. So definitely sounds like the podcast is serving that need.
100%. And also, like, for me, speaking on stages, running my own events, retreats, my podcast, coaching, it's all speaking, it's all voice. That is when I am most lit up. And I love that with human design and the Gene Keys and things like that, it's kind of like this little like wink from the universe that you're like on the right path. That's how I see it anyway.
Yeah.
And I just go, yeah, that makes so much sense for
Yeah.
why I am the way that I am.
Yeah, I love it. And I think it's just that cool little wink from the universe gives you the thumbs up on some things that you wouldn't necessarily think, oh, is that a superpower of mine? Like a superpower of yours is helping facilitate a breakthrough. Your energy, that's what it's doing. That's what it's helping people do. And we don't necessarily, in the old school way of asking questions and going through the doing we've done in the past, we mightn't realize that actually our energy is facilitating an important thing like a breakthrough. Similar to my energy facilitates groups and brings together incredible groups of people. And I don't actually do anything. I don't do it from the mind. It's just part of my energy. So, yeah, I love that. So let's talk about, obviously, you've been an entrepreneur for a long time. And you have done, as you said, everything from speaking, writing books. You've got the podcast. You've, done so many different things. First of all, like, why did you kind of land on? Tell us a bit about SheLaunch, but why did you land on this when you kind of could have gone in so many different directions?
Yes, great question. So my tagline is I help women become wildly wealthy, fabulously healthy, and bursting with love. So health, wealth, and love have always been the core pillars of my teachings. Health, I love health. I love it personally. I love helping people with it. Wealth, I love helping people create the businesses and the income that they want, and love, relationships with themselves and with others. And so I've kind of like started as a health coach. I moved into more than some conscious relationship stuff, and then some parenting and holy mama, getting pregnant. And the last couple of years, we've really shifted into the business and mindset side of things, mainly because, well, firstly, I love helping people with it. I had so many people coming to me saying, how have you built your business? How have you created this life and the abundance that you have? And so I just started coaching people on business and mindset. And it kind of happened through that way. And then we created SheLaunch, which literally teaches you all of the strategy, the systems, the tools on how to create the business of your dreams and the mindset piece that goes with that. We talk about marketing, sales, content creation, niching, offer mastery, AI, everything in there. And we co-founded it, my husband and I, Nick Broadhurst and I, we co-founded it. It's been about 10 months it has been around, and we've had about 200 clients go through, and the results are amazing, absolutely amazing. So women who have come through who are brand new, hitting their goal of wanting to get to 10K a month or 20K a month. And then we've had, corporates that wanted HR, like one of my clients, she was a HR consultant, wanted to go out on her own, went out on her own. So she was already earning a great income, but wanting to go out on her own. She, with all of our teachings, she was able to go out on her own, and she pretty much like tripled her income that she was earning in her corporate job within the first 3 months, and went down to a 4-day work week. And she's just, I think she was on about 80,000 a month.
Wow.
And she's just, and she's like, the most happy and content that she's been, because, she's working less, but with dream clients in her dream business for herself.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing that often people, it's like they see that other people are creating this life. For me, I feel like I'm living a life beyond my wildest dreams, and it just gets better and better every day. And I'm so grateful for that. And I think there's so many people, in fact, to be honest, I used to be one of them, that they're like, yeah, I see all of this going on. I see it happening, but really, can it happen for me? What would you say to those people? Because I'm confident they're listening.
1000% it can happen for you. There is no such thing as anyone being more special than anybody else. We are all born into this world with the same amount of magical specialness sprinkled over us, as we come in. And well, I kind of think my daughter got a little bit more.
Yeah, I love that.
She's extra special. But I think every parent thinks that.
Yeah, I definitely do.
Yeah. So I think, we're all born into this world as the most beautiful, whole, amazing little beings, and we're all worthy of having the life of our dreams. We all are. And I want every single person to really know that. Like, I'm not any more special than anybody else. I just have continued to show up and have put myself out there. And I think a lot of people, they give up too soon before they hit that. They might just be about to hit that threshold for themselves and go to that next level, and then they give up, and then they're like, oh, this isn't working, I'm going to go try a different niche, or this isn't working, I'm going to go try something else. But I promise you, like, if you just stay consistent, you keep showing up. Like, I have showed up online since 2011, every day, pretty much every single day I have showed up. I have not missed a week of my podcast, even when I was on maternity leave. I have showed up on social media. I've showed up on my blog, in my newsletters. Like, I've showed up constantly, and not because I think I have to, but because I love to. I love serving my audience. I love helping. And I think, yeah, a lot of people quit before they get to that point, but absolutely everybody is worthy of having the business and the life of their dreams.
Yeah, I love that, and I completely agree. I sometimes sort of talk to success really is about backing yourself and persevering. Like ultimately, your success is inevitable. Like you wouldn't want it if it wasn't in you, if you didn't have the capacity to create it, to manifest it, to live it. And I so agree. I think so many people just give up too quickly and they believe the negative stories in their head. It occurred to me actually when I went to see Stephen Bartlett not too many months ago, the Diary of a CEO. And, he's standing on stage. He was brilliant. I really enjoyed it. But he was going through all of his pillars of success. And he came, and I can't even remember which one it was, but he came to a certain pillar of success. And I was like, yeah, wow, that's a hard no for me. Like I've done that, I've tested it. And it was in this moment that I realized, again, like success is more about backing you. So what's working for you? How are you moving forward? What's your intuition telling you? Like you should really stick at this thing. From a human design perspective, are you actually listening to your strategy, your authority, your not self theme, and your signature theme that are guiding you along this path in every moment? Because I actually think it's like once you get to a certain point with success, you realize how easy it is and how you can start to create more and more of it um, with less and less effort.
Yes, absolutely. I think what you said was really important. Like everybody's definition of success is different too. So like you didn't necessarily resonate with what he said with that one pillar. And I think this is a really important piece. And I teach my girls this is like, what is your definition of success and what are your core values in life?
Yeah.
And when you know those two things, you can then create the life and the business of your dreams. But if you don't take the time to go, this is my core values, this is my definition of success, how will you know what to create? Like people say to me, like, you look like you've got the dream life. And I'm like, but I'm just living in accordance to what feels good for me. And I only work 4 hours a week, 4 hours a day. I work 3 to 4 hours a day. That's it. I have a toddler and another baby on the way. I don't want to work anymore. And so you need to get really clear on what is important to you. What are your core values in this season of your life?
Mm.
And what is your definition of success? If you know those two things, it is so hard to not feel, and if you live them, it's so hard to not feel and live a fulfilled life.
So true. I love that. Now, I want to talk about one of your other pillars is wealth. Because I think sometimes with women, as I record this, we were in Bali last week running a retreat. Actually, had a dear friend of mine, Elizabeth Ralph. She's the spiritual investor. She's all about wealth. She's an ex trader and now teaches a lot about investing and growing our wealth. And we were sitting around in one of the classes having all of these conversations. And I just had that moment where I was looking around the room and you could see the faces of almost like these women looking at each other going, wow, we can talk about money this openly. Wow. Is that like I can actually ask questions about money and growing my wealth and investing? And I and for me personally, it's something that I learned a few years ago. Like, just talk about money at the outset. Like just talk about money because it's always been so taboo. So I'd love to hear from your expertise. How do we shift into feeling really comfortable with money and wealth, and then creating greater money and wealth?
Yeah. So in SheLaunch, the whole mindset module, which is the first module in the program, there's a money mindset module because it's so important. Like we really do need to look at our beliefs around money, the stories that we're telling ourselves around money. It's so important. A lot of us are walking around with outdated, inherited, borrowed money beliefs and money stories, usually from our parents. And it was for me, it happened in that hospital bed in October 2010, where I realized that the money stories that I had were actually my dad's. And that was really exciting for me. I went, great. So I get to create what I believe. What do I believe? And it comes back to, looking at your core values, looking at your definition of success and going, well, what are my beliefs around money? And are they supportive to my goals and my vision? And this, you know, and I help a lot of women inside SheLaunch get really comfortable with talking about money. I don't understand why it's such an uncomfortable topic for so many people. Like, there's some of my friends and where we talk about it very openly, and there's some where we never talk about it. But why aren't we talking about it? Like, why aren't we going, this is working for me. This investment strategy is working for me. It's bringing in $10,000 a month or whatever. You should try it. Like, why aren't we supporting each other in that way in our communities?
Yeah.
I definitely do it inside SheLaunch. I get them really comfortable with that. But I think it is a societal thing, but it can definitely shift. And it was uncomfortable for me at the start, like even talking about money and wealth on my social media. And I thought that inner mean girl was like, people are going to judge you. People are going to think you're money hungry. But you know what? Like, I know my intentions.
Yeah.
And my intentions are to help women create the business and life of their dreams. Because when women are making the money that they want to make, and they're having the impact that they want to have, they are much happier humans. And then they're more content in their home. And women are the heartbeat of the home. And when we feel fulfilled, our energy dictates the energy of the entire community. Like our energy, our energy is like the foundation in the home, and then that resonates out to our communities. So I love helping women create the income and the impact that they have, the impact that they want. But we really do need to look at our beliefs around money, and then if they're not yours, create some new and inspiring and uplifting ones that support your goals and your vision, and live by them.
Yeah.
Really live by them. Like, write them down on a post-it note and stick them somewhere you can see them, and share with your partner or your friends. When I first started this, I told my partner at the time, I'm really working on my money mindset, and I'm really working on upgrading my money beliefs. And this is what I'd like. I showed him. I was like, this is the money stories I would like to embody. Can you please help hold me accountable? And he was like, absolutely. And that was really supportive for me. So share with your friends or your roommate, or things like that. And also, it's really interesting because your beliefs around money, you will usually attract people who have those same beliefs.
Yeah.
If your friends are like, I can't afford it, I can't afford it, they're always saying, I can't afford it, I can't afford it, then, that's the energy that you're going to be in. And so we want to, like, maybe remove ourselves from some of those conversations and not engage in those conversations, and engage in more inspiring and uplifting money conversations. But I think, we need it. Like, I need to put petrol in my car. How am I going to get somewhere if I don't have petrol in my car? Like, we need money. And I think also, money can be used for so many good things.
Yeah.
And yes, there are people that don't use it for good things, but there are also people like you and I that use it for amazing things. And that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, I love all of that. So much to respond to. And I think one of the big beliefs I had to shift is that, wealthy people, rich people destroy the planet. So that was a big player for me. Once I realized that that was there, and I shifted that belief, and, moved into this new place of, wow, the more money I have, the more I can serve the planet. That was, a game changer for me. And I think this is such an important topic for women, because it's my opinion that we are so heavily conditioned not to talk about money, to be powerless around money, to think that we are stupid, uneducated, like very, very disempowering beliefs around money. And, I know for me personally, we've just started a little mastermind group of entrepreneurs locally here, at least in the kind of Byron Shire. And straight off the bat, I'm like, right, I'm talking about money. Whatever anyone else feels comfortable with is cool, but I want to talk about it because I just want to normalize it. I want to understand what's going on. And the things that have come from me just talking about, and I actually had a situation where the person who was taking care of my tax didn't take care of my tax, and I wasn't across it, didn't take responsibility for knowing to be across it, and I was left with a huge tax bill. And one thing I did is I just talked about it straight away. And oh my goodness, I can't tell you how many people came out of the woodwork with solutions and ways to deal with it and all of those things. So I really believe as women, it is our responsibility to be talking about money, about wealth, about, investing. And, some girlfriends and I are getting together and creating a foundation that we're calling The Nest. And going from this potential, yes, it's going to be investing, it's going to be serving our long-term gain, but it's also going to be also giving back to the planet in ways. So it's such a passion of mine that as women, we really talk about money openly. We talk about it from a place of empowerment, because money's just energy. It's like everything else. It's just energy. It's not hard, even though we're conditioned to think it is.
Yes, absolutely. It's just energy, like you said, like everything in this world. And it's what we use to exchange for something we value. And I truly believe we vote with our dollar. And every time we hand over money, we are saying, I believe in that product, that company, their ethos, their ethics, all of those things. So we do need to be mindful of what we are purchasing. And it's just energy. Yeah. And it wants to be circulated for good. So the more you can circulate it, the better as well.
I love that. And just a momentary human design geek out second. Um, Actually, another gene key. So in the gene keys, in a place that they call the pearl, which is your personality Jupiter, in the line number, it kind of, I actually refer to it in my community as this is your money frequency. It's kind of the theme that you feel in the way money comes to you. When you're in alignment with that feeling, this is kind of how money comes to you. And I was just having a look at yours, and you've actually got the line one, and the line one is simplicity. And what's so interesting about that is you live this beautiful, simple life. So these are people, they also tend to be, I've got a lot of line ones in my life, they actually tend to be pretty wealthy. But the thing about them is that they actually don't spend their money on anything, but is that their simple needs, the things that make them feel really fulfilled. And then that's all they need. Does that
That
resonate
is
with you?
me.
Yeah.
That is me. And yeah, so my husband's a bit more of a spender. I am more of like only the things that I truly love, and I'm not a waster. I am
Yeah.
not frivolous. I'm not a waster. I like quality, but like just things that I actually need. So that is so hilarious. I'd be curious to see what Nick's is.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, I can quickly look it up. I'm going to quickly look it up for you so then you can, because I know I've got his schedule, his chart in here.
I'm so curious.
Yeah.
That's so funny. If it's gonna be different, I just oh my god.
Because mine's celebration, so mine is very very different. So his is the two. So
Okay, what does that mean?
that means that money comes to him when he is in partnership, when he's being seen by the other, when he's kind of like in this natural state. So when he's playing around in those areas, that's when money will come to him.
Interesting. Okay, I love that.
Yeah, I think it's so funny looking at these little nuances just out of curiosity. Like I don't need them to be right or to resonate, but they just so often do, and it blows my mind. It changed my whole money frequency understanding because I'm a line three, um, and understanding that my money frequency is very much around celebration. So and that is all about giving back, celebrating friends and family, taking care of people. When I'm doing that with money, then money just flows into me. It's incredibly powerful stuff.
Beautiful. I love that insight.
So I'm always curious about spirituality because I think, especially in a business like yours and a blog and a podcast, there are so many kind of like spiritual undertones, but many times to have the sort of success in more of a mainstream audience as you've had, we're not quite as out there and spiritual as perhaps we really are on the inside. So tell me a little bit about how spirituality plays out in your everyday life. How has it helped you become the version of you are today?
So much. It is changed my life. Now, when I hit rock bottom, soon after that, I discovered meditation. Well, I dove deep into yoga and fell in love with yoga and Kundalini yoga. And that's a very spiritual practice. And then really dove deep into meditation from there and just became obsessed, loved it. I, in particular, loved Vedic wisdom and Vedic meditation. So that's where you get a mantra and you do 20 minutes twice a day. And I was so religious, dedicated to this practice, still am, and absolutely loved it. And spirituality is such a huge part of my life, my daily life. And I think the reason why I love it so much is because it allows me to connect with not only myself, but a higher purpose, universe, God, whatever you want to call it, love, unconditional love, pure consciousness, oneness. And it's home. It's home.
Mm.
And so for me, on a daily, uh, in my daily life, I begin my day with meditation every single day. And that's my 20-minute meditation. And then I always finish with prayer. And I pray for myself and my family. I pray over, every single person, my husband, my unborn child, my daughter, my mother, and my father. I pray over those people that are really close to me, and then I pray over all of my family and my friends, and then I pray over the whole world, sending love and light and healing to the entire globe. And so that's such a huge part of my life. I grew up very Catholic. My father was very Catholic, so I'd gone to church and had a relationship with God, but it was very much, I was told to do that. I went to Catholic school. I was told to do that. And so, when I left home and my father said to me, I'd really like you to continue to go to church. My rebellious side was, don't tell me what to do. I'm a grown adult. Don't tell me what to do. But it's so interesting because, I've recently returned to church on my own accord, because that's just the calling that I've had. And, I do what feels right for me spiritually. I don't follow any dogma.
Yeah.
I don't subscribe to that. I just do what feels good for me. And I pray the way that I want to pray, and I meditate the way that I want to meditate. And I think that's really key, because I think with spirituality, there's so many different dogmas and rules, and you just got to do what feels right for you. Like for some people, if their prayer and their spirituality and their meditation is surfing, great, and that lights them up, and they are in their zone of genius and connected to the higher source when they're dancing or surfing, then awesome, wonderful for you. I'm so happy for you. But whatever it is, find that thing for you that connects you with yourself and that higher purpose, and try and connect with, yourself and the higher purpose every day, every single day.
I love that. And, I resonate a lot. I don't subscribe to any dogma, and I very much have my own way of connecting. Interestingly, I actually just went and, after meditating for more than 20 years, went and did the Vedic meditation with Gary Goro not long ago. And I just love it. Yeah, it's addictive, like when
I know.
say, oh, I remember in the beginning, I was like, oh, I just don't have time, or people say, I don't have time, or da, da, da. Now it's an addiction. I'm like, oh my God, it just feels so good.
Yeah.
But yeah, and again, I think you're spot on. We really need to have the freedom to choose our own path and our own way to connect. Because I really believe that so much of the dogma has to do with the thinking mind, who I should be and what I should be doing. And how I should behave. And really, spirituality, whatever way it comes in, is all about connecting the soul, the heart, um, and letting the mind go and do its thing over there, instead of taking part in these really still present moments. So I love that. Before I let you go, I do want to ask about the transition of I just thought to myself, total MG moment, spirituality, swinging straight back to business, everybody, don't mind me.
I love it.
Yeah, is this transition, I think a lot, because I actually had my kids. My kids were quite young when I started my first business. So I was already a mum. I started my business. So my model looks very different because they're 17 and 13 now. So as they've got bigger, I've created more freedom in my business because they don't need me as much. But what I think is fascinating about your journey is that you created this business and this life that you really were leading, that you were the master of. So I'm curious about the transitions that you've made becoming a parent, because it sounds like you've become a very, connected, present, wanting to be their parent. So the transition in the business, like how did you transition the business so that it supported your journey?
I love this question. So I have a stepson who's 18, and so I've been in his life for 11 years. So I had that, and I kind of, whilst I was co-parenting him, got really clear on what I wanted to create when it was time for me to have children, like the type of mother that I wanted to be, how present I wanted to be. So it was kind of like I got to kind of practice, I guess, with him and go what works and what doesn't work. And so then when I had my daughter 3.5 years ago, I had the most beautiful maternity leave. And within that maternity leave, which was a year long, I had batched podcasts, and I had about 3 months of podcasts batched. And then Nick went back and recorded some for me. And then I slowly went back. So I was just doing the podcast and I loved it. So that's my version of maternity leave. I wasn't completely off. So in that time, I sat with myself so much. You're breastfeeding a lot. I would meditate whilst I was breastfeeding all the time with her. And I sat with the question of, do I want to solely be a mother, or do I want to continue to work? And I sat with that for months. And the answers that came through was, I 100% want to keep working and doing what I do because I love it so much. And so I was like, okay, cool, great. That answers that question. So then the question that I asked myself, and I don't think many people do, is how does that look for me? And what does that look like? What do I want that to look like? And so I got really clear on that. And it comes back to what I was saying before about knowing your core values, like knowing what's important to you. What are your priorities? How do you want to mother and do business if you want to? And so I sat down and I sat with that question for a while. And then I sat down and I got really clear. What does that look like? How many hours a day am I working? When am I working? What type of mother do I want to be? I want to be so available for her. I want to be so present with her. I knew I never wanted to work while she's at my feet. That was just something I didn't. And I see mothers do that and they're content doing that, but I never wanted to do that for me. I want to work. And then I want to be with her. And it's evolved because, they go from 3 sleeps a day to 2 sleeps a day to 1 sleep a day to no sleeps a day. So at the start, I would just work when she slept. Yeah. And I loved that. And, they're sleeping so much. And then, she gets to 2 sleeps and I would just work in those 2 sleeps. That was 4 hours. She would sleep like 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the afternoon. And then it gets to 1 sleep. And then when she got to 1 sleep, she was probably doing like an hour and a half. Then we had a nanny that whole time as well. And so our nanny helps with her, but also helps around the house, which is amazing. So she cooks and cleans and helps us out in the house. And when she went to one sleep, I was like, okay, I need you to have her for like an hour and a half or 2 hours, and then I'll keep working I'll put her to sleep and then keep working when she goes to sleep. I wanted to be there for every time she went to bed. I wanted to be there every time she woke up. I never wanted to miss a thing. I wanted to be there and be really present. And then when she dropped her day sleep altogether, that's when I was like, okay, to the nanny, like, you're here for 3 to 4 hours a day, Monday to Friday. That's when I work. That's when you have your time with her. And I want to be able to hear them in the backyard laughing while I'm working.
Yeah.
Never wanted to send her to daycare where I can't hear her. I want to eat, my meals with her. And so, I just got really clear on how I wanted to do this. So I work in the mornings for 3 to 4 hours in the morning. And then, I finish at around 11:30, and then I have lunch with her. And the rest of the day is me and her. We go to the beach, we do activities, we go to the park, we have our time, Mama Bambi time. And it's just so beautiful. And then sometimes I'll switch it up and I'll work in the afternoon, or and have time with her in the morning, like to take her to gymnastics or to take her to activities, because I want to do that. I don't want the nanny to do that. I want to do that. So yeah, I think as well, you not only do you have to get clear on how you want to parent and do business and what feels aligned for you, but then also parenting, you have to be so flexible.
Yeah.
And because it's always changing, like it's going to change again when this new baby comes, everything's going to change again. And I think I love order and structure and routine. That's probably in my human design. I love order and structure and routine so much. And then when I had my daughter, I was like, oh, okay, I need to be more flexible with everything. And a mentor once said to me, like, the key to longevity is infinite flexibility. And I've always remembered that. And I'm like, okay, when you have children, you just need to be more flexible. And like, last night she woke up in the middle of the night. She sleeps usually through the night. And she, had a bit of she was hot. I don't know whether she had a temperature, but she was hot and she was coughing. And, things don't always go to plan, but that's okay. Like, you've got to be more flexible. And I think as a parent and business owner, the more flexible you are, the better. So I think getting clear on the type of mother that you want to be and how you want to set up your business to support the mother that you want to be, the parent that you want to be, the better, because then you just get about creating that.
Oh my God, I love it. I love it. And I know for me, with my little ones that are not so little anymore, they're both taller than me now. I've always taken them everywhere. I remember the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey that I was completely prepared to take them into a corporate job if I had to. I never did in the end. But it was this different mindset. Like, no one's going to tell me whether my children can be present or not. I mean, my eldest works at the retreats. They're both at my book launch. Like, they're very present. And again, like you said, that for me, that's what was really important, because I feel like it's selfishly, I love to have them there. And I think it's also important for them to just see what work looks like. Another option for them, because obviously school's telling them one thing. I want them to see that there's a lot of options out there for them, when they decide what it is that they want to follow. So I love that. Well, I'm gonna have to let you go. But before I do, can you let everyone know where they can find you and come and check out the podcast and find you to find out more about SheLaunch?
Thank you so much. This has been such a delight. So if you want to, you can DM me on Instagram at Melissa Ambrosini to learn more about SheLaunch, and I can send you the details and see if it's a good fit. Or you can go ahead and book a free strategy call at shelaunch.com. I want to gift that to your listeners. And my website, Melissa Ambrosini, my podcast, The Melissa Ambrosini Show. You can listen to all of my episodes. But yeah, I would just love to I would love for you to come and connect with me on Instagram and just tell me what you got out of this and tell me a bit about you. I would love to hear, and tell me if you are a fellow 3-5 generator. I'd love to connect with you.
I love it. And you really do have like this natural ability to deeply connect with people. I think one of the things that, the bigger people get, the less you actually get them on the other end of, let's say, the DMs in Instagram. And you are one of those people that's like it's you, it's not a team member. And it's this thing that I also get is like, what you see is what you get. You're the same human, no matter where people come across you. And I just think that is the true sign of authenticity. So thank you for being you.
Thank you so much for having me. What a pleasure.
And thank you everyone for listening along today. I trust you got what you needed from today's episode, and I so look forward to having you on the next one. Bye for now. Thanks everyone for being here all the way to the end of the podcast. I hope you got lots of value out of it. I certainly had a lot of fun doing it. Could I please ask that you share this podcast with friends if you found it valuable? And also, bonus points, could you leave a review for me as well on Apple? It would be greatly appreciated. If at any point you would like to be on the podcast, or you've got questions that you'd like me to discuss on the podcast, by all means get on my socials and DM me. Everything you need is there in the show notes. Have an awesome day. Bye for now.